Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 16 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is John Preeb. Johnny P, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. What are you gonna do? So I hope you have a wonderful day, and if you guys want to be house guest of the day, send me a private message on YouTube. Alright, so when we left off yesterday, looked like there was some more fan interference. We got a fan with a bullhorn. I repeat, we've got a fan with a bullhorn. Yeah, so apparently they said, Frankie's the saboteur and not to be trusted. So then they were called in on a lockdown, and I know Cody and Caleb definitely heard what was said. They seemed a little hesitant to talk about it though, because Big Brother really doesn't like when the house guests, if they do hear something like that being yelled over the wall, they're not supposed to talk about it, because if they do, they have to cut the feeds and blah blah blah, because Big Brother doesn't want to give any attention to the people doing that. So we kept getting fish whenever they did bring it up. It seems like Caleb is a little more concerned about it than Cody. I think they were considering maybe the fan is like a Donnie fan, and they were trying to get Frankie put up on the block in his place or something. So Caleb, I don't know, he seems a little concerned. He was talking to Derek about it in the fire room, and he was like, yeah, Cody and I heard the same thing. This is what we heard. And Derek was like, what, seriously? Like acting all surprised. And then he was like, I thought it was a cop. And then the feeds were cut. So who knows what they're really thinking. But Derek is kind of trying to like play it off. But I'm wondering, will Caleb Holmes be back to sort this one out? We'll have to stay tuned and keep an eye on that. But more importantly, it was opening night for BB Broadway. Hey, guess what? No one wanted to do it anymore, except for Frankie. Yeah. So he was getting like all dressed up while everyone was just like, do we really have to do this shit? So Victoria was doing Frankie's makeup for the play. I'm gonna have to quote Christine on this one and say, oh my god, so scary! Yeah, so anyway, Frankie was getting his makeup done, telling Derek, like, go, get everyone excited about the play. I'm pretty sure Derek was not excited about it himself. I mean, this is $5,000 that we're potentially talking about, but he didn't seem thrilled. So Frankie is not only starring in the production, but he's also acting as the MC. And a few minutes after Big Brother After Dark started, curtain up. So he was like, welcome everyone to the first installment of the Big Brother Broadway show. So he told everyone this episode is called House Swap. Please tell me this is the only installment ever, because I can't do it again. So the plan is the remaining 8 house guests will be portraying the first 8 evicted house guests as if they were the final 8. So it's like the first half swaps with the second half. So he says the first and only act is called Diary Room. So they're going to be doing DRs as if it was the night that they became the final 8. So some of the questions that they'll be addressing: how did you get to this point? What are your relationships like with your fellow remaining house guests? And what is your strategy moving forward in the game? So let's talk about the cast. I gave you guys a little sneak peek yesterday, and then I got really frustrated and said F it, we'll go over it tomorrow, because they kept changing who they were going to be. So the finalized cast: Frankie was Joey, Donnie was playing Devin, Nicole was playing Brittany, Christine Paola, Cody was playing Zach, Victoria was playing Amber, Caleb was playing Hayden, and last but not least, Derek was playing Jocasta. So a few quick notes just about some of them. I'm going to talk about a few of them more in depth. But Nicole putting the lotion on the legs as Brittany, talking about doing all these punishments, expecting like rewards for completing them. That was kind of funny. Victoria as Amber was awful. All she was doing was like sticking out her boobs and like showing her butt, and Amber never did those things, and everyone knew it. They were just like, yeah, Victoria just wanted to show off her stuff. So that was kind of sad. let's talk about some of the real breakout stars. But first, I want to give it an overall rating. I would say maybe 1.5 Fruit Loops. Maybe throw a dingus in there, I don't know. But some of the breakout stars of BB Broadway. Donnie as Devin, hilarious. He nailed Devin's mannerisms, and he had like, it was convincing, it was funny, it was just great. And you know, at least a few of those people are thinking, wow, Donnie was so good. He has to be an actor, right? I'm not kidding, I'm pretty sure Cody was saying it later. So also, Derek was great as Jocasta. It was really funny. He had the bow tie, of course. He had some other props. He was carrying around the Bible. He broke out, I think, like an ice pack and stuff, because of course he was injured. And he was like, where's Donnie when you need him? Because remember when Donnie won that veto for Jocasta, and she was just like, ah! The only thing that would have put that over the top is if he had spoken in tongues. But you know, if you do that, maybe people would be offended, so maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe it was a good idea not to do that. But I thought Derek was pretty funny. So, one of the losers, Caleb was really struggling as Hayden. Like, really struggling. He went in and out of multiple accents. At one point, he sounded Australian. And he was forgetting all of his lines. He was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do this. He threw in a couple at the end of the days, which I thought was funny because he's the one that says that all the time, not Hayden. So it's like even when he's playing someone else, he's still at the end of the daying. So the big question is, should this fiasco count as a mission accomplished for Team America? I'm gonna have to say no. There were some entertaining portions. A few house gifts were really funny, but I mean, it just seems so like not prepared. Like, they wrote the essay the night before it was due, okay? They didn't put enough effort into it. There wasn't a lot of thought put into it. Barely anyone dressed up, and it was just like a piece of crap. So I'm gonna say no. What do you guys think? So then when that was over, Nicole was like, Frankie, do a show for us. So of course, Frankie was like, yes! And I was like, no. And Caleb was also like, yeah, let's go around and we'll all do our characters. As if like everyone in the house has these characters that they just whip out. Not everyone does that. So Frankie starts things off and he's doing this little bit as his Consuela character, and he has like a Q&A session with the house guests. They ask him whatever and he's just like, ooh. Moving on. Then Caleb gets up. It's Caleb's turn. Things get really, really awkward. They got really awkward. So he has this character named Rico. And I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I'll tell you guys the highlights. Rico had a really tough life. He had a rough childhood, and then he came home one day, and he saw this guy touching his mama in places he didn't like. So he stabbed the guy 2 or 3 times, give or take a few. So Rico went to jail, and again, he had a tough time in jail too. It wasn't easy. So the good news is he's been out of jail for like 2 or 3 years. Bad news? He started using cocaine. It just doesn't let up for Rico. So he's like, yep, started using cocaine. That's why I can't breathe out of my nose. And at that point, Donnie was like, we've been canceled. It was so funny. Oh my gosh, Donnie. He's like that guy when you're watching a movie in class and all of a sudden he's just like, cracks this joke and everyone's just like, oh my god. He's that movie guy. So throughout this whole story, everyone is just sitting there staring at Caleb, number one, in disbelief, just like in shock, in disgust, and in laughter. There were a few times where they're just like, yeah, it was pretty insane. So then, as if it couldn't get any more awkward, Caleb changed his characters abruptly, like mid-sentence. He's like, yeah, and then cocaine, and then I was eating, like, I was hooked on those Skittles and the Laffy Taffy, and then and then he switches over to this character named Tater, who is basically Mater from the Cars movies, you know? Larry the Cable Guy? Yeah. It's the same guy with a different name. So, also his character is not a tow truck. It's some guy whose, like, brother drowned or something. I don't know. It was just really depressing and weird. So the girls couldn't take it anymore, and they started leaving the living room. And then when Caleb was finally done, Frankie was like, oh, Caleb, that was amazing. Give me a hug. What rhymes with hug me? Yeah, he didn't say the last part, but I felt like it was appropriate. So he was just like, oh, Caleb, you should be an actor. You should take acting classes. I can't believe you haven't before. So then later on, Christine, Frankie, and Cody were up in the HOH room, and they were discussing Caleb's bad mood because he was being kind of like, earlier in the night. He didn't want to do the whole play thing in the first place, so they were like, well, maybe he was unhappy and kind of pissy because it wasn't his idea to do BB Broadway, so if he didn't think of it, he doesn't want to do it, which could be true, but I'm thinking maybe he's putting the pieces of that saboteur puzzle together. Maybe he's thinking, Frankie, they had the guy with the bullhorn. Frankie is the saboteur. It's too fun. He cannot be trusted. No more. Plus, they're looking like idiots doing this BB Broadway play. Maybe it's all making sense now, and he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to give Frankie more money. So it could be that too. So then the conversation shifts. Cody is telling them about this convo that he had earlier with Donnie. So he's like, yeah, Donnie was telling me that he really does like me as a person, and when I looked at him, he had a tear in his eye. Oh, so you would think like, oh, that's so sweet. Like they had a moment, cool. And then Christine's like, he's so weird. Cody was just like, kind of taken aback, I think. He stood up for Donnie. He was like, maybe Donnie's just emotional because he knows that he's going home this week and it sucks. So I think that Christine's friends are getting a little ticked off with her. They're getting annoyed. And guess what? The next line in my notes, it's happening! The Bomb Squad is starting to plan the eviction order after they get rid of Donnie and Nicole. So Derek was talking to Caleb, and he was really lobbying for Victoria again. He was like, yeah, Christine should definitely go before Victoria because we can control Victoria, and she sucks at competitions. So Caleb's like, yeah, totally agree. If I was HOH, I'd put up Christine and Cody because they're a power duo, and Christine's gotta go. Ah! So then Cody was talking to Caleb in the HOH room, and he agrees, yeah, Caleb, Christine is definitely going to be the first person to go from the Bomb Squad. Remember when we were saying that Christine would regret a lot of her moves? Yeah, it's coming up real soon. So Cody is saying like, yeah, Christine's floated on our backs the whole way. She's always interrupting our chats. You don't come between one man and his bro time. That doesn't make sense. You don't come between two men and their bro time. So, yeah. He's getting really annoyed with her. She's always, ooh, Cody. Always. So, anyway, where were we? That's all fine and dandy. But they gotta think about next week first. Next week, they're saying, Cody pretty much sums up the season with this statement. Cody's like, Nicole would never come after me or you, Caleb, but she's gotta go next week. Why? Why? Why would you get rid of her if she's not coming after you? Why not go after, I don't know, someone who is coming after you? It just seems like that's what's been happening all season. They just do whatever like one person says that they should do, even if it doesn't benefit them. It's crazy. But Caleb's like, yeah, you're totally right. So Caleb wants a final four of himself, Cody, Derek, and Frankie. And then he wants to cut Frankie so that the final three is him, Cody, and Derek. We'll see. So it all depends on what Derek wants. We all know that. So Derek and Cody finally did get a chance to chat by themselves. They had a late night meeting in the HOH room, and they're both getting really worried that Frankie and Christine are going to turn on them next week. Honestly, I think that Christine would pick Cody over Frankie, but they're worried that she's going to go with Frankie. So Cody is seriously, bro, debating using the veto and getting rid of Frankie this week. So he's like seriously, possibly, maybe thinking about considering maybe using the veto. So Derek reminds him, no, Donnie has to go this week. So that's pretty much it. So quick tidbit about Frankie. He used some Jenga blocks last night to write "My Everything" on the table. If you guys didn't know, that's the name of Ariana's CD, which came out today. Could we get any more cross-promotion for Ariana, please? Please, can we use her song as the theme song for the show? Can we use her album as the wake-up songs? Please, we're not getting enough Ariana promotion. We need more. So the Power Veto ceremony was today, and Cody, after serious consideration, decided not to use the Power Veto, which means that Nicole and Donnie are still up on the block. One of them is going home on Thursday. So we saw that coming. But anyway, Frankie and Derek are debating, should we really get rid of Donnie this week? It sounds like Frankie might want to keep him. He's like, yeah, America wouldn't have voted for Donnie to work with us unless he had like something going on or whatever. So I'm thinking that the real reason that Frankie wants to keep Donnie is because he just wants Nicole out more. He really does not like Nicole. As much as he goes to Nicole and is like, I love you, when he turns and her back is whatever, behind her back, he's like, oh, I effing hate her. And a while ago, he called her the C word. Yeah, Countess. So, he doesn't like Nicole. So he wants to get her out again and keep Donnie. So they're like, yeah, let's revisit this conversation at a later time. We'll see where we're at and we'll make a decision then. So I'm sure we'll have more on that tomorrow. And until then, much love. Edit.